Okay, welcome to the Reality Check with Charles Butler. We are broadcasting live here at Red State Talk Radio, and glad you could join us this afternoon. We have Mr. Frank Vernuccio with us, Editor-in-Chief over at the New York Analysis of Policy and Government, as well as a talk show host, TV personality. My good friend, we've been doing this for quite a few years now, Frank, I tell you. It's been a lot of fun, my friend. Yeah, McKay. Yeah, but Frank, when we look at this, when we look at what they're doing, like Horowitz is standing there, and what he says when they jam him up and ask him for an opinion is he'll say, "Well, I don't want to give you an opinion. I want to go back and refer to what we've already written, which is a bunch of poppycock." I don't know. I have a good buddy who was a former cabinet member in the Reagan administration. And when we talk, it's like I'm talking to someone who doesn't live in Washington, who doesn't know how Washington works. He said to me, and I'll never forget this, during the Hillary Clinton scandal and the FBI. The FBI is beyond reproach. These are the people I hold in high regard. I said, do you remember COINTEL? Do you remember how the FBI invaded the civil rights movement and FBI agents were accused of being the agitators of a number of very bad incidents that went down with the Black Panther Party, et cetera, et cetera. And he acted like none of this existed. And these people were beyond reproach. I think that, I don't know about you, Frank, but we were around the same age. I think we're the same age. I remember during Vietnam, that was the first time that the American people took on the American media and said that you're feeding us propaganda and what you're telling us is not true. One of the biggest perpetrators of lies in the media happened to have been our good buddy, Walter Cronkite. Like when Walter Yep. Running. Mhm. And you know what? Nobody refuted him. That's the point that really got my craw. I had a roommate who was from Iran, and he was telling me about all of the propaganda on American television. We were in college. This is in 1973, 74. And he said to me, Charles, the Shah is a very bad man. The United States is supporting the wrong man. He is a very bad man for Iran and the Iranian people. Well, come to find out, the Shah was a bad man for the Iranian people. He was soon overthrown after my friend told me this, right? And people forget, Frank, if they ever knew, that when I was in the military in training in 75, 76, 77, we had Iranian, Iraqi, and Kuwait pilots that were training with us in Pensacola and at Air Force bases, training to fly jets, training to fly complex aircraft. And they were so dicked up and they didn't understand English, right? So they passed these guys under the premise that they speak and comprehend English. They got a good friend of mine killed down in Pensacola because they entered the pattern the wrong way. He tried to avoid a crash. A guy who happened to have been, yeah. Well, I was in the gym yesterday, and I belong to this club here in Chicago. It's all these liberal Democrat wonks, and I really don't fit because I'm an aberration. I'm black, and I'm outspoken, and I don't walk around with my eyes down, not looking these white people in the eyes. So I'm one of those Negroes who is trouble. I'm a troubled Negro. Okay, I accept that. I'm I'm in the gym working out, and I'm looking at the news. They have three screens up. A sports screen is on one end with the World Cup. In the middle is Fox News, and on the right is, ironically, CNN. And so I'm reading the news, right? And this white guy starts telling me, starts talking about how, and I'm reading the they have the closed caption up, so I know what he's talking about. He's saying, yeah, they're just lying. And I said, who's lying? I knew what he was talking about. He said, Fox News, all they do is tell lies. They're the worst. I said, well, what are you talking about? And he explained, that there was no there with Hillary Clinton. I said, look, sir, I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. I said, Fox News, while it's not everything that you want it to be, it's certainly better than all the other channels put together, especially lying CNN. You would have thought I called this man's mother and his wife a whore. He went absolutely ballistic. And you know what? I looked at Frank, I remained calm, and I looked him in the face. And I said, sir, you're entitled to your opinions, and I'm entitled to mine. And as far as I'm concerned, being here in Chicago, one of the most racist cities in the country and always has been for black people, please, let's not discuss this. And he looked at me because, well, Frank, I call a spade, and no pun intended. The reality is, black people have consistently went to polls and voted for Democrats blindly because they're stupid. And I don't pull any punches about that. I don't have to hold my tongue anymore because I'm not on WVON and people are calling me, Mr. Butler called black people stupid. Well, if you keep, the definition of stupid is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result, negative result. That's what blacks have done since 1933, voting for that racist Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We continue, and so you look at this border crisis. Where's the NAACP on the border crisis? Where is the outcry about homeless American children who are on the streets of Chicago, Atlanta, New York, all the major California, all these cities with all these homeless children out? Where's the outcry for them? Where are their tent cities? Where is their air conditioning? Where is their food? Where is their pool tables? Where is their cartoons? Frank, should I continue to go on, or I'm going to stop right here? Right. But they didn't. This is what I think, Frank. Frank, this makes me so angry where you're going with this. This makes me so angry. I think, Nancy Pelosi, as you pointed out, I think last week, called for, oh, no, it was Dan Perkins, I think, called out that Nancy Pelosi was calling, she didn't understand why people weren't rioting in the streets about kids being separated from their parents. Did you hear that? Did you hear Nancy say that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But people try to act like illegal immigration is a victimless crime. Illegal immigration is a crime. It's a misdemeanor, and if you are deported and returned, it's a felony. But you have to understand, we had a guy who was president of these United States who was not vetted. If they had vetted Barack Obama, they would have found that he was a Muslim. He has a very scrupulous personal history that is well known here in Chicago about his sexuality. Uh, this is a man who had illegal relatives here in Boston who were from Kenya, and he tried to lie. In fact, he didn't try to lie. He lied and said he did not know his uncle, and that his uncle should be, whoever this man was claiming to be his uncle, should be deported. And then the uncle produced a picture of he and Obama together when Obama came and stayed with him for his interview at the Harvard Law School. Isn't that amazing? And so, what's that? Oh my God. Yep. Yep. Hey man, and let no, hey, Frank. Not only Great Britain, Germany, Sweden has the highest incidence of rape now. This is a country that was pretty much rape free, crime free. Their crime is up like 5,000% or something because of these Muslims. Hey, listen, Frank, we are a world. We see, we have been co-opted by our political leaders who are all in the cabal. And this cabal did not just start with Barack Obama or Bill Clinton. I remember very distinctly, and I get chill bumps thinking about this, when George Bush announced that we were one world order. We were now one. You remember that? And Frank, I remember when he said that, and no one anywhere said anything about it. I said, what the hell does one world order mean? We're the United States of America. What the F is he talking about? Okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me draw a couple of parallels here. That's a Saul Alinsky tactic to control the narrative. Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were linked at the hip over Saul Alinsky and his tactics and their disciplism to Saul Alinsky. We had a president who tried to take away our First Amendment rights, supported by Chuck Schumer, your senator, who said that we should limit free speech. Wait a minute. We already covered that. The Supreme Court said that white men have the right to burn crosses in hate because it's free speech. And all of a sudden, because we disagree with Barack Obama's insane policies that have proven nothing except that they don't work. Socialism doesn't work, Barack. That we're going to undo this great thing we call America, this great thing we call our country. Frank, that's why Brexit. Remember, I said two things that were very controversial at the time. Donald Trump was going to win the GOP nomination and the presidency, and that Britain was going to exit the EU. And the exact reasons that you just talked about, their rights being taken away and governed, the British said, we don't want to be governed by some people in Belgium who don't know anything about British culture. Okay. Hmm. Right. But you, and therein lies the rub, Frank. The press covers it up. And more importantly, Republicans don't get out and speak. McConnell, we haven't heard from McConnell. Where's McConnell backing the president on enforcing the laws in the border? He's married to a Chinese chick whose parents came here, and he has all of these nefarious deals going. Shu's dad was never in the shipping business before she became director or secretary of transportation, and all of a sudden now her dad's in this shipping business. He has 12 big ass ships out here on the seas now. I mean, these people are stealing. These are not the senators and the congressmen that we had before the radical 60s. These people are there to ingratiate themselves for the most part. We were talking about gerrymandering yesterday. And I look at two of my good friends who were gerrymandered out of their districts by Republicans, who happen to have been Republicans, and that was Alan West and Joe Walsh. They were gerrymandered by Republican legislators. Yeah, they were gerrymandered by Republican legislators out of their districts because they were outspoken and they didn't go along to get along and feed at the trough. Mhm. Right. Mhm. Well, they are. And, we continue to look at these folks and we allow them, we send them back to Congress. I'm looking at my congressman, a guy named Danny Davis. This is a guy who has spent the last 30 years working in some government job, whether it was city alderman, state representative, congressman, and he cannot claim that he's done one damn thing but forced George Bush to sign a bill to give convicts a second chance. My question to him was, where is your bill to give black folks who haven't gone to prison or who aren't felons a first chance? He couldn't say anything. He just sat there and looked into the camera. Because these people, but Frank, this is the problem that we have. When we start talking about immigration, when I start talking about immigration, people get nervous. And I just simply refer to two people that people cannot argue with because they were there, they talked about it, I've researched it. What I'm saying is true. Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington, along with other white and black abolitionists, criticized the United States policies of bringing people in from Ireland. Ireland supposedly transitioned almost 70% of its population to America from 1820 to 1923. We had a mass influx of Italians in the between 1900 and 1923. And at that same time, we had laws that were written against black Americans having access to jobs. It's called the Davis-Bacon Act. It's still on the books today. I've talked about it. I've talked about the Davis-Bacon Act. They talked about repealing it, but they're not enforcing it. Here in my building right now, out of 50 contractors, there's only one white man and the rest are Latinos, Hispanics, whatever vernacular you want to use. Isn't that amazing? Yep. Right. 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 They were. But yep. Well, not only that, after the Civil War, we basically destroyed the economy of the South and made it an agricultural. Well, it was always agricultural based, but even the textile mills that were in the South, what people don't understand is those textile mills were run by Jews, and that's a whole nother thing. But here in Chicago, it was really interesting in meeting, people whose relatives came here like in the 1830s, and they can trace themselves all the way back to, the 1800s. And I'm sitting here with these Irish guys, and they're telling me how their forefathers dug the subway tunnels and dug the canals, because before we had the subways, we had canals here in the Midwest that was used for commerce. When people talk about the Great Lakes, we never really talk about the commerce in the Great Lakes and all the auxiliary canals that made commerce prosperous, like here in Chicago. When you look at the Chicago River, there are all of these little ancillary offshoots off the Chicago River that are canals that go deep, like over to the Mississippi River and down to the Columbus River and all this other stuff. It's just really amazing, but we never talk about that because today, we talk about the locomotive and the trucks on the highway and this, that, and the other, but people forget that was the beginning of the American booming economy. Am I right or wrong? Sure it does. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And these were Irish guys who did that. And you're right. It was cheaper to pay them a nickel a day than to have a slave and have to feed them, clothe them, watch them, you know. Oh man, I tell you, this thing we call capitalism is interesting. Okay. No, it's true. It is true. Exactly. Right. 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 Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, there is a great article, Frank, in the New York Times, and I don't really, say many good things about the New York Times, but this particular article is really, in my opinion, really, really great. And I'm going to skip this commercial. And uh, the it's called, let's see here. It's in today's paper. I read it this morning. What Trump gets right about Europe, and it's by a guy named Jochen Bittner. Jochen Bittner. It's called "What Trump Gets Right About Europe," and it's exactly what you're talking about. That Merkel is about Merkel and Germany, and how these people are trying to. They thought they were going to import a new labor force, and they bring in these young Muslims, 18 to 45 years old, and I've often said, you've heard me say this. Any man seeking refugee status from Syria, Iraq, Iran, or any other country should be turned around and sent back to his country to fight for his own damn freedom. Why are we sending our young people over there to fight for their freedom, and they come over here and get on the dough? How much sense does that make? Bring back the draft, damn it. Hey, well, we lost a battle in the federal court yesterday. One of the federal judges overruled the law in Kansas requiring proof of citizenship to vote. But to your point, but when you're talking about what happened in Europe, we're talking about what happened in Europe, and this man says this. He says that. Um, uh, Mr. Trump's anger at Americans' allies embodies, however unpleasantly, an unreasonable point of view, and one that the rest of the world ignores at great peril. This is what they're saying, that they may be angry at Trump, but to ignore what he's saying is at great peril. They said The global world order is unbalanced and inequitable, and unless something is done to correct it soon, it will collapse, with or without the president's tweets. And it goes on to say, while the West happily built the liberal order over the past 70 years with Europe as its centers, the Americans had the continent's back. We giving them a free ride. We pay for their defense. We have these crazy trade policies. We prop up their economies, and we had their back. And in turn, as it unravels, Americans feel this loss of balance the hardest. And it's always spent the most money and manpower to keep the system working. That's what Trump said. Why are we funding Europe's craziness? World War II is over. And then to your point, which is really great. I mean, this guy and you're saying the exact same thing. Here it goes. It says, the Europeans have basically been free riders on the voyage, spending nothing on defense, and instead building vast social welfare systems at home and robust, well-protected export industry abroad. Rather than lash back at Mr. Trump, they would do better to ask how we got in this place, and how do we get out? That's exactly what you just said, Frank. That's exactly what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, Frank, we didn't hear. Well, I didn't hear, and I've been paying attention a very long time, but I did not hear the government talk about governing by polls until Bill Clinton came in. I never heard the government talk about what's good, what's best for corporations until Bill Clinton came in. I mean, overtly. Okay. I didn't hear those things. We didn't govern as Martin Luther King has a very famous quote out about not being governed by Gallup polls, because that was the big polling thing then. But we have since turned to, except for Trump, because Trump's a business guy. Like, I don't know if you heard his speech at the National Independent Business Foundation, but he gave a great speech where he announced that they're going to allow companies to form corporations and shop for healthcare across state lines. I mean, he is killing Obama, isn't he? I mean, he is unraveling Obama's stuff, not with the stroke of a pen, but with substantive policies and actions. But they expected a run-on with Hillary Clinton. They just knew. I mean, this is the great thing. They just knew that they had a lock. And so when Charles Butler was saying, no, Donald Trump is going to win the nomination and Donald Trump is going to win the presidency, I mean, people would call my wife and laugh at me. They would make fun of me. Tell my wife how stupid I was. How could I be so stupid? They thought I was a smart guy. They thought I knew something about politics. Well, not one of those people have ever called me or called my wife and said, hey, I guess Charles is pretty smart. I guess he does know a little something about politics. Not one of them has ever called and said, well, I guess Charles knew what he was talking about. Okay. And that is? Yep. We would never, we wouldn't have a special counsel. We wouldn't have any of these investigations going on because Hillary Clinton would be president, and we'd say, oh, Russia, oh, there was no Russian collusion. And this is the thing that I really don't get, Frank, that really bothers me. And it is really bothering me more and more each day, because either I'm going crazy or I'm losing my mind, or anyway, I'm going to run this by you. When Manafort was working with the Russians, and Manafort was known for being on the Hill with Russians, he worked for the Podesta Group. He was known for taking Russians around the Hill, congressman and senator's office, and working his magic. He was working for the Podesta Group. So how does this equate with, and this is the problem that I don't understand, how could this guy, when Trump hired this guy, I'm going, why would he hire a guy who's working for Podesta, who's running Hillary Clinton's campaign? Are they all in bed together? Is Trump absolutely out of his damn mind? That's what I thought. You mean the sale of the uranium? Yeah, the uranium for the nuclear. Yeah. Well, whoo, man, what do you do? What do you say? How do we compensate for this? We're constantly under review and under attack by folks that are not, well, you and I see this, so I know that they have staffers that see this. They should have other people who understand this the same way that we do. We're not the only ones out here viewing this the way that we do, in my opinion. So I don't know, Frank. It gets very frustrating, but I tell you, yep, yep. Well, that's been going on a long time. I've been calling for blacks to be included in American history instead of having a Black History Month and all that crap. And the gays have succeeded in doing what I have talked about for the last 40 years, and that is putting Black history in history books. Black history is American history. Crispus Attucks was the first man killed for the American Revolution. Robert Small commanded a ship at the Boston Massacre. You know, and these things go on and on and on. The heroes at Lexington and Bunker Hill was two black guys, one named Peter Salem and the other named Salem something. I can't remember his name right now. But look, you know, history is what it is. I had a young daughter who was being educated at NYU, that liberal bastion of, you know. So she goes to Prague. Yeah, I really didn't want to go there, but you know, that's another story. I mean, but where do you have them go? You know, I mean, really. I mean, you know, my old university, the University of Michigan, is being sued over free speech. So get a handle on that. Remember, that's where JFK came to deliver his famous, you know, get involved. Don't ask what the nation can do for you, but what you can do for the country. You know, that thing, and all of these protests, war protests, were held at the University of Michigan by University of Michigan students, and now some of the people who are teachers there and retired. But besides that, you go on and we say, you know, we were talking. She went to Prague, and I was saying, look, when you go to Prague, it's a bad place. It's a bad place for tourists, and specifically Americans. I said they're kidnapping American girls and putting them into slavery. And I put the fear. And the great thing was the movie series Taken had come out, right? Yeah. So I was telling my daughter that this really happens. You know, this is one of these Hollywood things. Because I always say that's Hollywood, honey. You know, that's not how things really work. But this is one of them. Like, hey, this is how this really goes down. You don't have a lot of guys like this guy who found his daughter, because that takes a lot of help and skill, etc. But you see that he got very little. I said the police, if you have a problem, the police will not talk to you in English, even though some of them speak English. They won't talk to you in English. They act like they don't know what you're talking about. And the same thing happens in Paris, where I've had friends go to Paris and be put in a room in the back of a hotel, and conveniently a window is left open, and somebody climbs through the window and rapes the chick, and she can't get any help because nobody speaks English all of a sudden, right? But those aren't things that people really talk about, because they don't want to scare you off from being a tourist and going out and venturing out. But I had to protect my daughter. And I was talking to her about the government, how the government had been socialist when I was there, and it had been a gray city. Well, you know, with the new revolution, it's, you know, Prague is a happy place to be. It's colorful, it's nightclubs, it's, you know, people are hip, you know, everybody's doing, but there's still that government in that undertone, man. I mean, there's a lot of nefarious things going on in those cities that we used to call Eastern Europe. They may wear American clothes, they may listen to American music, but that's about where the story ends. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, Frank, are you getting some feedback in your headset? Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. You may need to reconnect, but we're almost done here. But I just wanted to share with you that yesterday, Angela Merkel, I'm going to pronounce it American. Yeah, her conservative bloc gave her a 2-week ultimatum to either tighten the asylum rules, or they were going to pitch her out of office. Of course, of course. upbringing. Yep. Yep. No, it's not. But at the at the end of the day, Merkel, like you said, she's an Eastern European. And that's what these people get for putting her in office, just like Barack Obama. Barack Obama was an Asian, an Indonesian by culture. He was not black. His skin was black. He tried to act like he was black. I mean, he had that jacked up walk, like he was trying to walk cool. Barack's whole persona, his whole image was built on this man named Harry. Oh God, what's Harry's last name? I can't come up with it right now, but I will in a minute. Harry Lennox. No, his name is Harry Lennox. Harry Lennox, and Harry wouldn't talk about it when Barack was in office because he felt he would be killed. But Harry Lennox said that Barack copied all of his mannerisms, his speech pattern, and he really did. If you listen to Harry Lennox and you watch Harry Lennox and you watch Barack, you think you were watching the same person. I mean, this is a guy who is a caricature. He is not honest, and hey, it's Harry is an interesting guy. In fact, you can find what I'm talking about out on the internet. It's called Harry Lennox, and his last name is spelled Lennix, and Obama, and you'll find a whole bunch of things about that Harry says about Obama and his relationship with Obama. Hey man, but look. As usual, man, you and I could talk for another 4 hours about this stuff and never cover the same thing. We look at the hearings on Washington, D.C. this morning about the IG's report, and we know that the IG lied. Growdy just tore the IG a new behind this morning. That Elijah Cummings, I don't know what's wrong with Elijah Cummings. I think he's been hit in the head too many times or something, but he has to be one of the most inarticulate, dumbest people on the Hill. Those are the kind of people we're sending to Congress today. People who don't have any understanding of how their government works, even though they've been there 30 years. Look at Maxine Waters. She's been there 25 years, and she's running around yelling, "Impeach the president." And she should know that you have to impeach the president and the president has to have committed 3 types of infractions in order to be impeached, and none of them have Trump's ever even been accused of. So, I mean, what's her problem? Dementia. No, but it is the sad thing is that we have to listen to these people. The sad thing is that Nancy Pelosi says, "Well, I've toured the children's detention camps and I'm just appalled." Well, Nancy, why don't you just go across the bridge from your little vineyard out in Napa, cross the Oakland Bridge, go into what's that place, Oakland, and go into San Francisco and see all the homeless people there. I mean, that's all she has to do, Frank, if she seriously, wants to talk about children being displaced. There are a lot of homeless children in the city of Oakland and San Francisco. Am I right or wrong? Yeah, and the people are very upset with what's going on there. And when you get the lifelong residents of the Bay Area who are saying, something's got to change, that something's got to change. When I first started going to San Francisco, it was primarily a black town, believe it or not, back in the 70s. And now, most of the blacks have been pushed out, either to South San Francisco. They've been pushed out of, oh God, what was it? What was the name? I almost called. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, here in Chicago, man, it is so bad, Frank. First of all, the illegal parents say, we're not going to put our children on buses because the immigration might get them. That's how they talk. So you know what Rahm Emanuel did? He built new schools for them. and he closed schools in black neighborhoods. Man, I got so much stuff that I'm gonna lay on this dude when we get ready for election day. It's not funny. But he and my wife are kind of joined at the hip. My ex-wife are joined at the hip. But that doesn't impact me anymore. It doesn't impact my pocketbook. So all the gloves are off on Rahm Emanuel. And I'm going to be joining forces with the black preachers to try to run him out of office. The Vernuccio, tell people how they get to the Vernuccio Novak report, where it's going to be. USAGovpolicies.com. Okay. Thank you so much, Frank, for being with us, man. As always, it's always a privilege and pleasure to have you aboard. Me too. And I hope the connection is better next time, my friend. Thank you. Mr. Frank Vernuccio. We're going to go and keep the cameras rolling. We're going to do our after show. We're going to do our after talk show here at Red State Talk Radio. And you can go out and watch us over at Facebook. We'll be out there for about 15, 20 minutes. So check us out. Getting ready to sign off here at Red State. Thanks. Take care. Okay, folks, we are now in our second part of the show. We're streaming live over at Red State. Over at Facebook, facebook.com/Charles Butler Conservative. We're out here blowing it up, doing what we do. When we talk about this immigration issue, there's some numbers I just want to share with you. We are arresting 50,000 people a month coming across our border. That's 6 million people a year. And when we arrest these people, we feed them, we house them, we pay for the air conditioning, we pay for the food, we pay for the clothing in some cases, provide them showers, entertainment, TV, whatever. This is not the government's money. This is the people's money. I understand the militia being on the border, the militia going to the border. And if militias start going to the border and start shooting people coming across the border, shooting at people coming across the border, maybe this stuff would stop. But you know what? Americans are angry. And Hispanic or Latino Americans are going to have to take it upon themselves to deal with this reaction to their people who are coming across. They're not their people. They're just Latinos. I'm appalled at the Africans who are here. I'm appalled, and I'm very clear about that. I am very clear that I am not in support of Africans coming to America. I can't go to Ghana and get a job. I can't go over to Ghana and get a passport. I can't go to Ghana and get in a training program. I can't go to Ghana and get a job, or any of the other countries over in Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, any of them. All this African American crap doesn't make any sense to me. Unaccompanied children showing up at the border. The number is up 329%. People showing up at the border as a unit. The number has increased 435%. 12,000 children are in custody. That's a small number given all the people showing up at the border. People asking for asylum, that number is up 17,000%. Thanks to our white liberal friends who are down there trying to coach these people how to get into the city. And these white liberals say, I want borderless. People should be, how stupid are you? You need to be slapped. Anytime I hear somebody talk about, we don't need borders, I said, I want to punch them in the mouth. They didn't say that when we were talking about freedom for black folks, freedom for black citizens. Where were you then? Oh, and they're so stupid. I tell you, man, I have to question white folks sometimes. Well, if my daughter marries a Latino, the children will be brown and they won't have to worry about getting a tan. How effing stupid is that? I can't make this stuff up. And you've heard that before, and people say that stupid stuff. And I don't care. Love is love, but you don't tell me that you want these people here because it increases your chance of your grandchild not having to get a tan. I think Bush was one of the people who said something like that, something ridiculous like that. George Bush Sr. Fraudulent asylum claims were up 314%, and over 500,000 Central Americans are coming here. President Trump said something that I thought was really right on the money. And that is, he said, we're going to stop sending money to countries who send illegals here. We're going to stop. We're not going to fund their invasion of our country. And I think he's absolutely right. I tell you, there's not much I disagree with Trump on. One of the things is the NFL protest, because I don't think he gets it. But that's neither here nor there. He's cool. But at the end of the day, folks, it is what it is. And we have to understand that this thing going on at the border is serious. It's very serious. Man. Anyway. Hey, look, we're going to... Hi, Charles. We notice an unusual login from the device. Yeah. Okay. Review. That's me. Okay, cool. All right. So, but Frank pointed out something when we were talking about Angela Merkel. She is from the communist Eastern Europe, and people don't ever really want to talk about that. She's been in office 10 years. And she's seen a lot of growth in the, what do you call it? The London or the German economy. She happened to catch it in a boom. And when Obama was there, she's like, oh, I like Obama. I don't care who she likes. The fact that she likes Obama means I don't like her. So what will her legacy be? Will Germany survive under her leadership? Will she, her allies, her government has given her 2 weeks to deal with this crisis of Muslims coming in, raping women, and this whole, she claims, oh, we need younger people to fund our society. Well, these Muslim men don't work. They're not into hard work, baby. These Muslim men are on the dole. Okay, and let's be clear, not all Muslim men are this way, but the ones they're letting in, because you're not getting the scholars, you're not getting the businessmen and women, you're not getting the people who are at the cream of the cream. They're at home. It's like the Nigerians who are doing well, you're not going to find them in America working, driving taxi cabs. Ghanaians who are doing well, you're not going to find them in America. People who are doing well, Mexicans who are doing well in Mexico, you're not going to find them up here trying to get a job in the U.S. because they have too much clout and too much going on in their own country. I mean, that's just the way it is. And me, I am not for immigration, legal or illegal. I think we need to cut back on both. And the only people I think we need to allow into this country are people whose skills we can use, which are generally in the high tech or medical area. Hey, I tell you, as we go on and on, it's the same old thing. But we're going to manage to call it a day. We've been going at this quite a while today. We didn't have many commercial breaks, so I'm a little tired. In fact, we didn't have any commercial breaks, so I am a little tired. So we're going to ease on out of the show, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. We will probably have Dan Perkins with us, if I'm not mistaken, and a couple of other people, bring on some new guests, discuss these issues that are so near, so dear, and so important to you. Don't forget to go out there and call the Speaker of the House, and tell him how you feel about immigration, supporting the president's new attempt at healthcare and health associations being formed across states. Speaker's number is 202-225-3031. 202-225-3031 or 202-225-0600. That's 202-225-0600. Write down my number. Call us in tomorrow. Chip in, and I'll pick you up. Express yourself. Express your opinion at 215-867-8255. 215-867-8255. Hey, we're going to ease on out. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Here at Red State Talk Radio and the Reality Check with Charles Butler. Thank you very much.